How long, O Lord? I cry out for help, but you do not listen. I cry out to you violence, but you do not intervene. Why do you let me see ruin? Why must I look at misery? These are the words from the first reading. Prophet Habakkuk cries out to God concerning all the evils that he was seeing happen in his homeland of Judea. So many ways that the people had abandoned the faith, and God was apparently doing nothing about it. And we could cry out in the same way today. So many ways that our world around us has abandoned God. God, we cry out to you. Do you not see the destruction and violence? Why do you let us see misery and ruin? The loss of but a single life is a tragedy, and we ought to work against all forms of injustice. But we can especially not ignore the worst of them all, the one that in the last 46 years has taken the lives of over 60 million unborn children through the horror of abortion. How long, O Lord? Such violence, but you do not intervene. The Lord answered Habakkuk, and he answers us, that he will give his aid. If it delays, wait for it. It will surely come, and he will not be late. The just one, because of his faith, shall live. So God calls us to have faith, to trust him, that he hears us, that he sees what's going on, and that he will act. But when he says for us to have that faith, it also involves action on our part as well. As Jesus attests to in the gospel, he says, if you have faith even the size of the mustard seed, then you would say to this mulberry tree, be uprooted and be planted in the sea, and it would do it. Even faith that small. Maybe it seems that God delays because we are the ones who delay. When it comes to protecting life, if we have but the tiniest of faith, what would it move us to do, to say? What reversal of the culture of death could God accomplish through each of us? And that's the challenge that all of us, that myself, I've had to wrestle with. I've always thought myself pro-life growing up, being Catholic as well as even from the area of science. But growing up kind of isolated from the whole controversy of abortion, being out in rural Nebraska, it didn't really move me to do anything about it. Until I went to the seminary and for the first time went to the March for Life. And then it began to sink in, the reality of what was going on. Inspired by so many people who, not only at that point, but the rest of the year was fighting to try to save lives. And it made me ask, well, what am I doing the rest of the year? I had for a long time resisted going with another group of seminarians to actually pray in front of an abortion clinic, partially from selfishness of wanting my own time, but also probably out of fear too. And finally, by God's grace, I did begin to go and pray there as well. And you will never be the same. Standing outside the very building where the abortions are being committed, seeing the hopelessness in the eyes of a young woman, feeling as though she has no other choice. And upon leaving, the pain that's pushed away for years for many of them, and myself not knowing what to do other than just to pray. As a priest in my previous parish too, continuing to do that since the Bellevue abortion clinic was not far. And then being asked to become the chaplain for the Respect Life apostolate for the diocese. And I know that there's a number of you who have been quite active in defending life for much longer than myself. But for those who have been like me, who hesitate, and this challenge and invitation is for you and I. If we have faith, what are we doing? St. Paul says in that second reading that God did not give us a spirit of cowardice, but rather of love and power and self-control. So do not be ashamed of your testimony to the Lord. Do not be afraid to do something. Maybe it's supporting all of our students that are going to be going on the March for Life in January, assisting with funds or through our prayers. Of all the buses that are leaving, the two going from Norfolk were the first ones filled. Attest to the faith in our area. Maybe it's indeed traveling to go pray at an abortion clinic itself, or donating time or items directly to emergency pregnancy centers that really work directly to help save the unborn children, but also to minister to those mothers and fathers who feel that they have no choice, to give them hope. This weekend, there is no need for us to delay in the way that God is asking us. This weekend, in thousands of towns and cities across the United States and Canada, will form a life chain of people praying silently for the end of abortion. In our parishes, we gather immediately after this Mass, just right outside, 11 till noon. We also have one up in Ewing, from 2 to 3. Joining a chain that stretches across at least 50 other towns just in our state. Norfolk, O'Neill, Omaha. So I invite you all to join the Junior Right to Life, to be out there praying. If you're worried about being for a whole hour, just come for a little bit. If you're worried about, I don't know if I can stand that long, we've got some chairs in the back. I'm sure someone can help you take one out for you. But I was going to go for lunch, Father. Well, our fasting for a little bit longer will make the prayer that much more powerful. So many of those who fight for life are young people, and that should be no surprise. Those of you who were born before 1973, your lives were protected. But those of us, myself included, who were born after, legally, we had no guarantee. 1/4 of our generations are not with us because their lives were taken from them from the womb. Destruction and violence are before us. How long, O Lord? Take courage. By faith, we will live.